Hello! Last year sometime I bought a palette of Roman Szmal Aquarius watercolors, and this is the cover that it came in. I've still kept it because it's so pretty I can't bear to throw that away. This one is the Andre Gothic palette, and inside it comes with a whole bunch of pans, but not quite enough to fill this whole tin. As you could see, when I pushed them all together, I had 4 more spaces, and so I spent some time on Jackson's Art, because that's the only place I can get these, looking at the different colours and agonising over which ones to pick. I have chosen 4 colours to put in here, and they arrived a while ago. I can't even remember what the colours are, to be quite honest, because it's been a while since they actually turned up and I've had them set aside to do this. But today I'm going to open them, swatch them out, put them in this palette, probably reorganise the whole palette so that they're in colour order, and maybe do some painting. So let's get into it! In my infinite wisdom, I also impulse bought this tiny palette of Roman Szmal colours, and I have done a video on this. I'll link it at the end of this one. This also has 5 pans in it, but as you can probably realise, they are not all going to fit in here because things cannot fit in this little runner here. I'm going to set them to one side because the only way I'm going to fit them all is if I actually take this out, pull out all the pans and stick them in here, but then I'm still going to have space, and right now I really don't want to buy more, so I'm just going to go with the 4 that I originally picked, and I'll keep this little set as a separate one for now. In the future I might end up getting some more Roman Szmal colours, in which case then I will pull everything out and rearrange it again. But for now let's just look at these 4 colours. So we have Misty Morning, Shadow Grey, Mineral Violet, and Potter's Pink. These 2 I got because I'm pretty sure they're very granulating. I've seen a few swatches of that Mineral Violet and it looked really appealing, so I thought I'd pick that, and I always like a Potter's Pink. These 2, I couldn't decide between a darker Shadow Grey or the Misty Morning, which I think is lighter, so in the end I decided to go with both because they just sound like interesting colours as well. I like to have unique colours in palettes because otherwise all of my palettes then look the same. So they're very well wrapped, these ones. So here's Potter's Pink. These are all hand poured, as you can tell, which I quite like. They don't have to be perfect. And I've got ink all over my hands. A fountain pen decided it was going to leak all over me. Brilliant. It just won't come off either. They do not have the names on here anywhere, so I will put them with the label until I'm ready, and I'll get a pen and label them all so I don't forget which is which. Misty Morning is a lot bluer than I was expecting. This one's going to be really interesting to paint and see if it changes colour. Oh, Shadow Grey is lovely and dark. That's what I was hoping for. And Mineral Violet. And that looks pretty dark too. Here we go. I've labelled everything with a Sharpie just so that I don't forget which is which, and I've put all of the pigment numbers down as well. And let's just paint them out, see what they look like. I realise they're not in any particular order here. I kind of forgot to do that. Usually I like to wet the page first, but I forgot to with the Potter's Pink. I just went straight in. It took a little bit of work to activate it, but once it got going it was fine. Potter's Pink is always known as one of those difficult colours, but this is a really gorgeous version, one of the prettiest versions I've ever seen of PR233. Next is Misty Morning, and I did wet the paper for that one so we could see how it spreads. This one also took a little bit of activating, but you can see it does disperse really well in the water. This is a mix of cobalt green and quinacridone violet. Interesting colours. I did not look up the pigment numbers when I picked these, I just went on the pictures of the colours, so I didn't realise that they have similar pigments in them. The Shadow Grey is a mix of 3 pigments. It's got ultramarine, brown iron oxide, and that quinacridone violet. It's a very much like a Payne's Grey, and I like it. It's a good dark colour, which is what I was wanting. And last up is Mineral Violet, which is a mixture of ultramarine and quinacridone violet. And that one's a stunner. It's a really deep purple. I like this one a lot. And this was very much a viewer recommendation from my previous video on the Roman Szmal paints when I first got them. This Misty Morning is splitting into two pigments, and you can see it in the water just on top of the paint. That is really neat. It's gone like a pinky colour. I like that one. Now check out that Potter's Pink. It is so heavily granulating. It's a beautiful version of it. I love Misty Morning. It's not the colour I expected at all. I thought it was actually a light grey, but that is just a beautiful pink blue colour. It's gorgeous. And then we have the Shadow Grey. I like it. It's a nice deep colour. There's a bit of granulation in there. And the last one is the Mineral Violet. It's actually quite a lot darker than I was expecting. Although you can see that granulation from the ultramarine. So it's quite gorgeous. Overall, it's a beautiful palette of colours, and I'm very happy with all of the colours that I chose to add to my palette. I think I might do a painting just with these 4 colours, and then I'll sort everything into my palette. I'm just doing a simple painting today, but I used a big brush to wet the whole piece of paper, and you can see I've taped it all off so that it doesn't go everywhere. And I'm spreading in some of the colours, starting off with the Misty Morning and then using Potter's Pink at the top, and then going down to darker ones in the Mineral Violet and Shadow Grey at the bottom. All of the paints really dispersed well in water, especially the top two, the Potter's Pink and Misty Morning. The Mineral Violet's a little bit heavier, but you can see that huge drying shift, which this etcher paper is notorious for doing. So I had to then go over with more layers, and I'm just painting in some hills or sand dunes. I don't really know what they are. It's quite a bit of an abstract painting. I was looking at a reference image, but it's really just something I made up for the most part. An imagination painting, if you like. So as the hills get closer, they also get darker. So using the deeper colours for the foreground worked quite well. You can see the hills are blending in with each other, so I let them dry a few times and then I just keep going over them again to add in more detail and get that really specific line across the top of the hills. I mean, you could just leave it and let them blend in together. I've seen a lot of paintings like that which look really pretty as well, but I thought I'd go for a little more definition. So I have to say that the Roman Szmal paints are really high quality. They are lovely to work with, and if you're looking for a nice professional brand of paints, these ones are very good. I think all of the colours come only in full pans and not half pans or tubes. This may change in the future, as they quite often do, but the best thing about them is that they can be purchased separately, so you can replace the colours easily. And going back to my picture, that tape did not work at all. It all leaked underneath. I don't think I'd stuck it down firmly enough, so I'm going around the whole picture just with a fine liner to give it a border, and then I went over the messy bits with a white pen. It's not perfect, but it did make it look a bit better. I hate it when paint leaks under tape. It happens frequently to me. I just have this knack of doing it, I guess. Never mind, I managed to get a picture in the end, and here's how it looks. I really love this colour combination. So now I have got to put all of my paints together, and while this has been drying, I've been agonising over the order of them, but I think I've come up with an order, so let's check out what I have here. And here they all are in what I think is a pretty good order, at least for my own personal preferences. And what I realised when I pulled them out is that none of these had labels on them either, so I've had to go through and number and label every single one of these full pans, but now they're all labelled, so if I get them jumbled up I can easily find the colours. And rather than cutting out a whole new swatch card, I've got this one which is the original palette of colours, and I've just ruled it up on the back, adding in my new colours. I've got Potter's Pink up in the corner and a whole load of paint on my hand apparently. I don't know where that came from. And then the other 3 colours, there's Mineral Violet, Shadow Grey and Misty Morning. All 3 of my new ones are on that line there. All in nice and snug, and definitely no more fitting in here without taking out this whole bracket. What I did notice on here is that I do have a double, and it is that Hematite Violet shade. That one is in here. I did not actually realise that when I bought the set. I thought these were all different shades, so I'm happy with it just like this. I have not put on the pigment numbers here because there's just no room to do that. I would have to write so tiny. I think I just am happy with the names on there for now. And now we get to see all of these beautiful colours in a nice combination together. Most of them are actually single pigment colours, but funnily enough, some of the ones that I chose are multiple pigments. But I'm fine with that. I'm really not too fussy having to have all single pigment colours. As long as they look pretty, I'm happy enough. I'd forgotten there was a permanent alizarin crimson in this set, and I could have put that in my light fast test that I did recently, but then I remembered I think I actually got this after I did the test, so it doesn't really matter anyway. I like the addition of the Potter's Pink in next with the quinacridone magenta, and it kind of then leads into the more earthy colours, starting with Venetian yellow and moving through the different browns that I have in this set. I had to put Perylene Green Deep at the end of this one, which is kind of annoying because I do prefer to have all of my greens on the same row, but it's just the way it worked out. There was nothing else I could really put there that matched, and there's always one colour that has to be different to all the rest of them, I find, in any palette I do. But I think otherwise all of the colours look pretty good together. Up the top I have the warmer and earthy colours, and down the bottom I have the blues and greens or the cooler colours. I also wasn't too sure where to put the mineral violet, so I just stuck it next to the blue. I think it works out okay. This set does have a lot of blues and aqua colours in it. It is curated by someone else, and so I'm glad I added in my violets into it because it just really fleshes it out a bit. Beforehand there was only the quinacridone magenta and no actual purple. I like to have a purple in my set. I am always way too lazy to mix it, and that mineral violet is a doozy. I also really like the shadow grey, shadow violet and misty morning together. Probably don't need all of them, but I think they're really pretty. And here is my full palette of Roman Szmal watercolours. I really like it. I think the palette of colours I have is really lovely. I really like these shadow colours and the misty morning as well. That's just a really pretty line of colours there. Also, this Potter's Pink is just crazy granulating. I mean, obviously there are always others that I would like to add, but I think this is a really solid amount. Maybe a few too many blues, but that's okay. I like blue, so I can live with that. And then I had my small painting that I did today with the limited palette of the 4 colours that I purchased to fill up this whole thing, and I like how that turned out as well. Even though it's very simple, it's just really pretty. I think I like the combination of colours. So now I've got to do some paintings with these, and today I've just got nothing. My mind is totally blank, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up today. This is a job I have been putting off for a while, having to rearrange all of these and to rule out this chart again, but I'm very glad I've got my new colours in. I'm super happy with them. They're all beautiful. I think that misty morning is just absolutely stunning, and I'm so glad I bought it. So let me know what you think of this palette. Do you like it? Are there colours that you would take out, and which other colours would you put in? I'm always curious to know which are your favourite colours and which ones you can't live without in a palette. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button, and I will see you all again really soon in my next video. Take care out there. Swatch you later. Bye!